Hi friends and new friends. I recently did an interview with Dave from TruthRaiderHQ, and we were talking all about Dash and Bitcoin and the progression of each and the accomplishments that each one has made. And as I was doing this interview, it dawned on me slowly how Dash is building the most complete cryptocurrency experience for its users. I've always known this, but during this interview it really came to light. So I thought, hey, I'm going to make a video on it. In this video, we'll go over all the accomplishments that makes Dash the most complete cryptocurrency experience today, and the future vision it has to remain competitive in the future. I'm Christopher Carruthers, also known as Tao of Satoshi, and you're watching Cash Alternative TV. So what is Cash Alternative TV, other than that catchy jingle? Well, it's a show about cryptocurrency with a focus on Dash, which aims to be a digital cash for the world, an alternative to cash. Hence the name, Cash Alternative TV. If that's something that you're into, you want to learn more about Dash or just want to hang out with me some more, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you won't miss an episode. Now on to the topic of today's show. Dash was created in 2014 by Evan Duffield, and since then, both him and the developers that have followed him have been responsible for numerous innovations in the blockchain space. A lot of times you see innovations in the blockchain space and you don't know that Dash is the one that came up with them. For example, masternodes. Some people don't even know that masternodes were invented by Dash, but yet they were. And all these innovations put together make Dash one of the most complete payment networks in the industry. Not only today, but we have plans in place for future innovations that will make us competitive in the future also. So what are these innovations and how do they add up to Dash's speed, security, and privacy? Find out now. We're going to do a roundup of all the things that make this technology possible. And we're going to start with number one, the basis of everything, the reason why all these innovations are possible. That's right, it's masternodes. Shortly after launch in 2014, Evan Duffield came up with this system of second-tier nodes that would always remain online and make it easier for users to make transactions on the network. And these masternodes lead to a lot of innovations such as InstantSend, PrivateSend, the decentralized governance and funding, and voting and for governance proposals. And these are all things that are made possible with Dash's second-tier masternode network. They really are an excellent innovation that enable many more features, and the reason why Dash's transactions seem to be a cut above the rest. And the first thing that masternodes made possible is number 2 on this list. It's PrivateSend, Dash's optional privacy feature. Now you might be aware of other blockchains such as Monero and Zcash that have cryptographic privacy, but Dash's privacy enables it to have both private and transparent transactions. So it's your choice in the Dash wallet. You can either mix your coins with other users, and that's how PrivateSend is. It's a coin mixing service, but it's a decentralized coin mixing service. So you put your transactions into a pool with other people's transactions, and they're mixed up, and then they come out the other side, and nobody knows where those transactions came from. And this is enabled by Dash's second-tier masternode network as well. So shortly after PrivateSend was released, Evan Duffield realized there could be another use for the masternodes, and that's where use case number 3 came up. The first iteration of InstantSend was a revelation for the crypto industry. Up until that point, you had to wait a set amount of time for blockchain confirmations, and there was nothing in the industry that was absolutely secure and instant. And then Evan Duffield said, well, hey, why don't we use this second-tier masternode network to another effect? So what he did was he said a quorum of masternodes was going to lock that transaction. When you hit send, the transaction's locked, and no other inputs or no other transactions can be made with that input. This first iteration of InstantSend was flawed though, because you couldn't respend that input until you had 6 confirmations. So the original transaction was secure and it was instant, but after that you'd have to wait for 6 blockchain confirmations to respend. That would change in the future, as we'll see later. There was another important Dash feature soon to come, and that makes it to number 4 on our list. It's Dash's Decentralized Treasury, with funding coming directly from the block reward. So Evan Duffield thought, that's great, we have private transactions now, and we have instant transactions now. And then he set his sights on the block rewards. So up until that point, the block rewards went only to miners, like they were the only things in the ecosystem that were important. And he thought, well, that's not really fair because there's other contributors to the ecosystem as well. Like having full nodes online all the time is very important. So he took the block reward and started to divide it into other use cases. So the first use case he divided into was to the masternodes. So now, gradually he went to make it so it was 50-50 from the miners to the masternodes, because they both equally contribute to the blockchain experience. So shortly after that was established, he realized, hey, we can use this blockchain for funding as well. So we don't have to rely on centralized donors that could possibly have favoritism and possibly try to decide the way that the currency was going. And it would make it a very centralized solution. And we wanted to have a decentralized solution. It's very important to blockchain. So he said, let's take a little portion of the block reward and give it to funding for the network. So that's exactly what he did. So now we had 45% go to the miners, 45% going to the masternodes, and 10% going to this decentralized treasury. So this is another one of Dash's innovations. And it's something that other blockchains are starting to copy today. Bitcoin Cash was recently came up with this scheme, and it's been done by Evan Duffield a long time ago. And also Litecoin was saying, oh, let's take some money from the blockchain and pay development. Well, guess what? This is something that's been going on in Dash for a long time, but you may not have known that. But now you do. So that's great to have decentralized funding, but how do we determine who gets the funding? Well, that's Dash innovation number 5. So Dash uses its second-tier masternode network with decentralized owners all around the world to vote on proposals that they figure will give the most bang for the buck for Dash. So the number one contractor that Dash has on its DAO is the Dash Core Group, and this is something that gets funded every month. So the masternode owners vote, and we say that the Dash Core Group is worthy of funding, so the Dash Core Group gets funding from the block reward. And the block reward goes directly from the blockchain to Dash Core Group. But they're not the only proposal owners out there. There's all kinds of different proposal owners for marketing and development and all kinds of different other use cases, adoption efforts. And these are all paid from the blockchain as well, and they're all voted on by the decentralized masternode network. And we also use this voting scheme to do governance proposals. Do you remember in Bitcoin how long the block size debate took? It took like almost 2 years, and it ended up with a chain split. Well, in Dash, we decided, hey, let's show off our blockchain voting technology, and we'll put this vote to the network on how to, if we want to increase the block size to 2 megabytes or not. So this vote was put to the masternode network, this governance proposal, and it passed in 24 hours. So something that took Bitcoin 2 years to do, it took Dash 24 hours to do. So in this decentralized governance is a good way to remain competitive in the industry, because we can pivot on a dime. If something happens and there's like something that we need to patch up or something that we need to become more competitive on, this can be a proposal put to the masternode network. And if we decide that we want to do this, then we can just say, okay, this is approved with 10% of a net vote. And then if it gets 10% of the net vote, then the network says, yep, this is something that we want to do. So Dash can remain competitive with current developments, and that's great when you're in competition with other currencies that will want to be doing the same thing, that might not have that governance system. So they'd be like debating on Reddit and Twitter and Instagram, where Dash has already done a blockchain vote and says, okay, that's the way we're doing it. If you don't like it, move on, because the network has spoken. So what other development has the blockchain funded? Well, some pretty cool ones, actually. Introducing Dash's triple security with chained InstantSend, a proof-of-work block, and the proof-of-work block being locked by chain locks. So it works like this. After you press send on a Dash transaction, your transaction is locked automatically by the masternodes. It's a quorum of masternodes, and it's called chained InstantSend. And this is an improvement from the original InstantSend that I described earlier on in the video, because with this chained InstantSend, you can receive a transaction, and you can instantly resend that transaction again. And you can resend it and resend it and resend it all around the world. There's unlimited amount of times you can resend that transaction, where the first version of InstantSend, you had to wait 6 blockchain confirmations. So with chain locks, your transaction is locked right away, and then it becomes entered into the proof-of-work block, which is stage 2. So you got the chained InstantSend stage 1, and then you got the proof-of-work block that puts that transaction on the decentralized ledger, on Dash's decentralized ledger. And then that's fine, but what about that proof-of-work block that could possibly be 51% attacked? Well, not in Dash, because Dash has what's called chain locks. So it uses another quorum of masternodes, that important second-tier masternode network, to lock that block. So no other block at that chain height will be accepted. So Dash has triple-level security, and that's something that no other currency has. So when you send a Dash transaction, you can be very sure that it's secure. So everything I mentioned above has made Dash an industry-leading package. So what are Dash's future plans to make it very competitive in the future? I'm glad you asked. So Dash's governance and funding has decided to fund something called Dash Platform. And what Dash Platform is taking all those things that make Dash the most complete cryptocurrency experience now and taking it a step further. Here are the components that make Dash Platform unique. So first we have the Dash Platform name service, which is hosted in the decentralized masternode network, which has all the names and identities of people that are going to be using the Dash platform. So what that does is it makes more of a contact list type of thing rather than the addresses that we've come to know already. So when you, instead of sending to XYZ blah 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 blah, you're sending to Jane or John or Maddie or whatever, whoever you want to send it to. It's something that's more familiar and more personable for users. Okay, so now we've got our identities. How are we going to transact on the Dash platform? The Decentralized API, of course. This is something that's unique to Dash also, and again, enabled by the second-tier masternode network. So the second-tier masternode network is going to host this decentralized API with 100% uptime that you can use to access the Dash platform, and developers can use it to make decentralized applications on this app. So think of it just like the Apple App Store. You got all these applications, but this is a centralized server that you see those on. And with Dash, it's going to be all decentralized in the cloud. So when you approach the decentralized API and you can interact with it, and you can know that it's always going to be up, and no one's going to tell you what you can do with it. So when you interact with the Dash platform through the decentralized API, how are you going to make changes? How are you going to do transactions in the network? Well, there's something called a platform chain. And this is specifically for Dash platform. And when you make changes to your apps or to anything, like when you send a transaction, it's going to be what's known as a state transition. So when you hit enter to any changes that you make, like a developer would want to make a change to an app, or a user might want to do like put a profile picture or send a transaction, this is going to be done by a state transition. So when you initiate a state transition, it becomes processed by the Dash platform blockchain, and then it becomes live on the network. So Dash has an industry-leading transaction experience with secure, instant, private transactions, and it also has decentralized funding and governance, so it can sustain itself over the long term. And it also has Dash platform coming up that's going to make the whole package easier to use for everyone. So Dash is really leading the pack when it comes to blockchain innovations, and I'm hoping that you learned something new today. But we're missing one innovation, and it's an innovation that I'm going to call number 11. But since I don't have an 11 countdown thing, I'm just going to use 2 ones. Yes, it's the Dash Pay wallet. So the Dash Pay wallet is going to be the first decentralized application on the Dash platform. And this is going to feature a PayPal or Venmo-like experience. So when you log on to it, you can log on to it from anywhere, your computer at home, your Android or iOS wallet. You can log on to from anywhere in the world, and you're going to be able to use the same accounts and the same addresses, which are going to be, and you're going to have a contact list there with all your contacts. When you do a state transition to the Dash platform saying, I want to make this person a contact, it goes through the platform chain, and then it comes back out to the DAPI and it says, yes, this is now your contact. So from you as an end user, aren't going to see much difference, but that's what goes on behind the scenes. And the Dash Pay wallet is going to be the very first application. But I hope it's not going to be the last. I hope lots of developers out there are watching this and going to be excited of making decentralized applications on the Dash platform, which is the decentralized app store of cryptocurrency. So I can't wait to see what other apps are going to be made out there. It's very exciting times for Dash. So all of the features that I mentioned above make Dash the most complete cryptocurrency experience. That was 11 ways on how Dash is the most complete cryptocurrency experience now, and quite possibly in the future as well. Well, that's it for me today. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and click the bell if you want to see more from me in Cash Alternative TV episodes. Until next time, remember, Dash is a better money for a better future, and that future is getting closer every day. Bye for now.
Cash Alternative.